Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a beautiful day. I'm anxious to get outside, and hopefully you are too after this meeting. Thank you for coming when it's so beautiful outside. Our agenda today includes some remarks by me, as usual. Erica is out of town at an important meeting having to do with the West Tower, and she's asked Lori Warfield Larson to substitute for her. We're glad to have Lori here. John Wells will talk about Veterans Day, and the Welcoming Committee is here to talk about the work that they do. Marcia Almquist is here to kick off, or almost kick off, it'll be a few days left, the Employee Gift Fund. Jennifer will give her treasurer's report as usual. Her Monday market report. Karen is here to report on the Treasury, and we have some information about the budget process for 2026. Bill will tell us a little bit about how the nominations for the Residents' Council are going, and then John Longris is going to tell you what the burning questions were for this month. So, my remarks, let me see what they are supposed to be. There we go. So, do any of you remember last month at the end of our meeting, Jim McDermott told a little story about President Carter and how he got the biggest laugh of his life when he was speaking to a Japanese audience. And the translator said, "You've all got to laugh. This is the President of the United States speaking to you." Which reminded me of another story. This is about a prisoner who has just entered the prison, and after lunch, he sees somebody standing up on a table, and he says, 37, and everybody laughs. And then he says, 59, and everybody laughs again. And then it's 105, and there's lots of laughter. So when this is through, he asks the person who is next to him, "Why is everybody laughing at these numbers?" And it's explained that these are the numbers of jokes that they have heard these jokes so many times that all they need to do is call out the number and they laugh. So this man thinks to himself, well, I want to fit in, so I'm going to memorize the jokes too. And after quite a few months, he gets up the nerve and he stands up on the table and he says, 97. Nothing happens. 106. Nothing happens. And then he says the joke that he knows is the very favorite joke of everybody, 160, and still no laughter. So he turns to his neighbor and says, "What's going on? How come they're not laughing?" And the neighbor says, "Well, some people know how to tell a joke and others just can't." Other things I'm supposed to talk about. We have a new member of the Residents' Council. I'll remind you about how we'd like to take some outings during construction of the West Tower. We have some new policies that were passed by the Residents' Council at the request of the Election Forums Committee. I'd like to say a word of appreciation for the work that the Arts Committee has done recently. And I'd like to remind everybody about letting us know when there are changes in the leaders of the various committees. So, I already told you my joke. I'm very pleased to tell you that we have a new member of the Residents' Council. Barbara Knight had to resign her position, so our newest member elected by the Residents' Council is Kathy Cullen. I Kathy, go ahead and stand. So everybody knows you, the ones who didn't. There. I asked Kathy what she wanted me to tell you about her, and she says, tell them that I am an RON, a real old nurse. After she got her nursing degree, she went back to university and got a master's degree in political science. However, she realized she could not pay for her children's education using her poli-sci degree, so she went back to nursing. Before she moved to Horizon House, she was president of various PTAs and on the board of her condo association. She's currently the co-chair of the Low Vision Hearing Challenge Committee and the Ducks in a Row Committee, so she's very involved in Horizon House. And she told me that in her high school yearbook, you know, where people are named the most likely to whatever, she was named the most responsible. Perfect qualification for being on the Residents' Council. And she is going to be the resource person for all of the committees that are in the category of community life. That's communications, dining services, spirituality, Veterans Day, and the Welcoming Committee. A little bit about West Tower transition. We actually have not had a meeting in over a month. However, what we think the West Tower Transition Committee is going to be concentrating on for quite a while are those outings that we discussed at the last Residents' Council meeting. So things like day trips to Paul's Bow or the Tulip Festival, or maybe half-day visits to the Seattle parks. And then we'd like to explore doing some longer travel. I understand that years ago, there was a trip advisor, what do I want to say? Travel agent and a committee who worked on taking trips to places like Alaska, Victoria and Vancouver and so on, maybe even overseas. So we're looking for individuals who think it's fun to plan outings and lead them. So I would like it if those of you who would enjoy doing this to get in touch and let me know that you might like to be involved with planning these outings, organizing them, leading tours, whatever. Please let me know your names and we will get you involved in that, and maybe serving on the transition committee. I do have a couple of individuals who suggested that, and I've also gotten some suggestions of places to go. I should tell you that administration has pledged to pay for buses for us to go on these outings, even if it takes 3 buses to go to a particular place. And they will help with research as well if we want to know, you know, how far it is and can we get lunch there and all those kinds of things. So those of you who are involved with committees, please get together and brainstorm some lists of destinations that you know that your committee members and hopefully many others would like to go on, and send those to me. Now, new policies about election forms. This subject came up during our last election forums during the primaries, when there was a question. A reporter asked to come to our election forum and take notes and do a story for the newspaper. We'd never done that before. And there was a lot of back and forth about it, but a lot of good reasons for not having the press there. My main reason for thinking it wasn't a good idea was we know these election forums are for us. We ask the questions about the subjects we want answers on, and we want the candidates to talk directly to us. And there was concern that if we have a reporter there, the candidates are going to speak to the reporter and to the broader community and not just us. And the election forum discussed this a great deal and finally came up with a recommended policy concerning non-resident attendance at election forums. Any resident may invite guests to election forums, and that includes reporters. If they're your personal friend or whatever, you may invite them, space permitting, but no guest may film, record, or speak at the proceedings. None of us speak anyway, but what we don't want is some political campaign taking an excerpt out of our election forum and using that as part of the campaign. And for that reason, we also added that the election forum recordings by Horizon House staff, especially those that are posted on YouTube, any recordings of election forums by Horizon House staff will be available only to Horizon House residents. Now I want to say a few words about the art committee. I know we've all seen the rearrangement of the art pieces throughout the campus, and I think they have put the art pieces in new arrangements such that they are more visible. They just work very well together. They are perfectly arranged, and it's different from the way it was before, and I think it's all done extremely well. I do want to call your attention to the Artists in Residence section, which is directly behind us at this end of the wall, dividing Anderson Hall from the library. Right now, there are prints by Judy Talley, and I think those are going to be changed about every 3 months or so. We have so many talented artists in our community, many of whom made their living through art. And I just love that section and all of the rest of it. So I want to thank especially John Pound and Danny Carr. They did a great job, and I know the rest of the committee has helped as well. And just a quick reminder, if any of your committees have a change in leadership, maybe you've added a new co-chair, maybe the chair has resigned and you have someone else, please notify your resource person right away so we can update the guides when you need to find out who to get in touch with. If you are not sure who the chairs or leaders of the various committees are, you can look on HH Connect, or there is a list of all the committees on the Residence Council bulletin board in the mailroom. And we just updated that, finalized. I hope there aren't any more errors on today. So you can go there to find out who those people are. And now I'm very pleased to introduce Lori Warfield Larson.
Thank you, Ronnie. Good afternoon. So I have the pleasure of sharing some updates with you on behalf of Erica. So Erica and Christy just left the office a short while ago to head to San Antonio, where they are going to be attending the Ziegler Conference, and they will have an opportunity to meet with potential investors in the West Tower while they are down there this coming week. So we're sending good thoughts for them, both her and Christy. So I wanted to highlight some bright spots that have occurred over the summer. Interestingly enough, both the staff, employee, and the resident picnics mirrored the same theme of the Wild Wild West. And so the staff also had a great opportunity to enjoy our annual summer picnic down on B1. And we had some good games and prizes, camaraderie, and some great food from our food services team. And I know certainly for all of you at the Resident Summer Picnic, of which I helped out a little bit with, it was a great fun to see many of you in bandanas, a few cowboy hats. I saw some cowboy boots in the mix. And so it was a wonderful picnic that you all had. And did you enjoy it? Yes. It was well done and executed. Well executed. Speaking of food services, hopefully you have seen some of the announcements. Just a reminder that we're going to be hosting some small resident groups on dining discussion. And we want to be able to, both Jeff, myself, and Executive Chef Joey will be present to download the recent dining service experience survey that many of you participated in. So we want to be able to drill down on those results, as well as to focus on any of your questions, have Chef Joey present as well. I'm hoping that most of you by now have had a chance to meet Chef Joey. And what's the overall reception of Chef Joey? Hey, great. Wonderful. I've so far have really enjoyed what he's sharing right now. When I checked in with him just before I was out of town last week, I asked him for how things were going, and he said he still was very much in a learn, observe, and listen mode. I said, great. I hope that you're going to come forward with your ideas and suggestions. I said, we want them. And he's taken a good approach of meeting with residents, just really observing, and he's going to be ready to launch with some good ideas. So I'm excited to see what he has to share with us and to continue learning from all of you. These sessions next week will be held on Monday at 10 a.m., Tuesday at 2 p.m., and Wednesday at 11 a.m. If you haven't had a chance to do so, please reach out to Beth, and she would be happy to see if there are spots available and to sign you up. So hope to see most of you there. West Tower update. We have inched up as of yesterday to 109 depositors for the West Tower. So we're really excited to have that momentum continuing. We've also had the wonderful addition of another sales team member, Alicia Sabari. She is terrific. She is a force of energy, very direct, very warm, and I think she's a great addition in my conversations to the sales team and to help with our efforts in continuing to welcome new members and residents of Horizon House with the West Tower. We are going to be hosting an equity luncheon on October 22nd at 11:30 a.m. So if you have friends of diverse communities or influencers in diverse communities, we would love to have you join us for the luncheon. We are going to be giving a general overview of senior living communities, what it means to live in a life plan community like Horizon House, explain how we're unique, and answer any of the questions that attendees may have. I want to emphasize that this is not a sales event, but an educational event. We have more work to do as providers to be reaching out into more diverse communities and educate diverse communities on what life plan living is like. It's amazing to see how much of the general public is not familiar with life plan communities. So we want to do our part in doing more education and reaching out to especially diverse communities. If you have any invitees that you think would be interested in attending this equity luncheon, please do reach out to Diane Chong in our sales team by Friday, September 26th. So there is still some space available. And on that same line, but a different, community relations and diversity. We are going to be recruiting for new members for the Community Relations and Diversity Committee for 2026. This is a 3-year term for this committee, and we invite you to look at Friday's alert, the admin board in the mailroom, or to contact Beth for more information if you may have interest in joining this committee. We're also going to be doing a sponsorship gala. The Community Relations and Diversity Committee has purchased tickets at, the various community gala organizations. And we have apparently extra tickets. So if you are one who enjoys that, please contact Beth by this Thursday, September 18th, and the tickets will be distributed in order of contacting Beth. Upcoming, they are Casa Latina on Saturday, October 4th, right here in Seattle. There will be another gala at the, I apologize, this was not spelled out, and I'm not sure what ACRS stands for. Anybody know? Marcia. Aging Counseling Services. Aging Counseling Services. All right, I think we're close enough. That is also going to be on Saturday, October 4th in Bellevue, so a divide and conquer. And there is going to be the Atlantic Street Center Gala on Saturday, October 18th, also right here in Seattle. So if you have any interest in attending any of those galas, please do reach out to Beth by this Thursday, as we do have some tickets available. And coming up to close to the end here, elevators. It's not a joke, like Ronnie was trying to tell, but interestingly enough, it elicited some laughter. So Ronnie, I think we're onto something here. I hate to say. As of yesterday, I did not have a chance to run around to all the elevators today, one day later, but as of yesterday, apparently all of them are in service. Is that still the case today? Oh dear, I'm seeing some shaking heads. Okay. I apologize that this is already outdated one day later. All right. Elevators 9 and 10, as of yesterday, had experienced service interruptions over the weekend, but were apparently resolved within 24 hours. I'm curious, for those who shook your heads no, are elevators 9 or 10 impacted today? Yes. Okay. Okay. I will follow up with Sean to find out the status. Elevator and safety inspections are happening this week by Otis. And this will involve one elevator per elevator bank being taken out of service for part of each day. So that may be what's happening. So it's a little misleading now that I'm reading these notes to say that they were all in service yesterday, when unfortunately we have proactive service happening this week that has taken some out of commission for parts of the day. The next fireside chat will be coming up on Friday, September 26th, right here at 10 a.m. And then I want to add that flu and COVID vaccines are coming to Horizon House. Eastern's Pharmacy will be returning. Thank goodness, at least the federal government is supporting COVID vaccines for those of you who are 65 and better. For those younger with a pre-existing or high-risk health condition, Easterns did say that for those under 65, they are not going to be asking for proof that you have some type of a pre-existing health condition. But they will be here with COVID vaccines. We will be looking to target mid-October to start hosting a couple of these events. And some of you may say, gosh, why so late? We don't want to do flu vaccines, especially sooner than mid-October, because we want them to carry their efficiency and efficacy through the peak flu season. Sometimes if you get them too early, you may miss some window of having that coverage, especially if you get it too soon before the peak of the flu season, which oftentimes goes into March or even April. So we will look to nail down some dates from Easterns. I've got another message out to them to find out when they can commit and when we have space availability. And I'm also really encouraging they bring more than one vaccinator to keep the events going smooth, but we're kind of at their mercy. And so we will be sure if they can only bring one vaccinator, I'm going to be lessening the number of residents per time slot so that you're not spending so much time waiting. So we will be sure to announce those vaccine events, dates and times, locations in the alert and in a memo as we get closer. I will also be reaching out to Kaiser to see if they will support those of you with Kaiser insurance to still participate and then seek reimbursement. For those who may want to avoid that hassle of having to pay Easterns up front here and then submit your invoice for reimbursement, you would be better going to a Kaiser clinic where you won't have that hassle. But I do want to see if Kaiser will allow for you to participate and seek reimbursement, because I recognize for some it's harder to travel out, and I want to be sensitive to that. So fingers crossed that Kaiser will support that. I do want to also take this opportunity to just remind you that if you are presenting with cold symptoms or respiratory symptoms, it's very common to test for COVID and be negative initially. For those with true COVID, we are seeing very commonly people not convert to a positive test result sometimes until 2, 3, 4 days into active symptoms. So what we don't want to have happen is you present with cold symptoms, you test for COVID, you're negative, and you think, great, I'm free, I'm going to go out and enjoy the activities without my mask because it's just a cold, and then you later convert to COVID. And then we've got, an outbreak situation, which we want to avoid. So I'm asking, even if you test negative for COVID, if you have those cold or respiratory symptoms, please mask up. Please don't dine with others until your symptoms are resolved. And please wear a mask when you do need to be out if you are presenting with symptoms, even if negative for COVID, because it could convert to COVID. That is all I have. Any burning questions before we turn it over? Yes.
I got it. So, when you talked about Erica going to San Antonio, and you said that she would meet with some investors in the West Tower, and then later you talked about we had gone up to 108 depositors. Tell me the difference between a depositor and an investor.
So depositors are the residents, prospective residents who have made a deposit to or partial towards the entrance fee to come into the West Tower as a resident. Investors are the people Erica and Christy are going to go pitch to in the hopes that they will want to invest their funds in the West Tower project. And buy bonds, yes, correct. And I see a hand up over here by Connie. Connie, we have a microphone coming to you.
I've noticed that the COVID tests have expiration dates, and mine, for instance, are all expired. So what do we do about fresh COVID test kits?
COVID test kits are readily available anywhere. Supermarkets, pharmacies, Amazon. I strongly recommend, as I've shared over the years, always have a COVID test kit on hand, like you would have, for some of you, aspirin or Band-Aids in your counter cupboards. It's always wise to have a COVID test on hand. Horizon House does not have COVID tests. I occasionally get calls about, do you have a COVID test available for me? We do not stock COVID test. So you're all strongly encouraged to have a test or two on hand. Again, they are readily available in all drugstores, pharmacies, and Amazon. Any other questions, Sam? I think we have a microphone coming first, so everyone has the benefit of hearing you.
Just briefly, how important is it to stick with the date that's associated with the COVID injection, the COVID vaccine?
I can't render guidance. I will say that, like a lot of things, shelf life is usually longer than expiration date, but they say that the accuracy could be not 100% if you use an expired test kit.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry? The expiration dates? That's correct. However, that is correct. So for everybody's benefit, we had on HH Connect a link to look up your expired test kits. And I will say, when I went to the website to look it up just recently, There's a picture of an individual who shows up now when you click that link. Federal. So I think it's changed. Sandy.
I think about a week ago, we were told there was a it was a phone call, one of those that goes to, well, all of the North Tower, I believe. And the Comcast effort in changing our boxes was supposed to be completed, I think, a week ago or so. Do you know the status?
I do not, Sandy. I would have to check in with facilities and find out. And I can make a note to specifically let you know and see if there's any updates that have been posted. I do not know what the current status. I apologize that I don't have any information on that, but we'll certainly find out. Specific to the North Tower? Are there other residents here in the North Tower who don't have that changed out yet? Does anybody know anything more than I do? No. Okay. So it sounds like we owe some kind of a communication or an update. Judy? Okay, 370 is not working for one resident in the Central Tower. Are there other residents without 370 in the Central Tower? And the East Tower, okay. Central and East. Are people seeing an issue with that in the North Tower? Or does this seem to be specific to Central and East? Okay, okay. I will certainly get those communications out to the right departments and see how we can get communication back out. I apologize that there are those ongoing challenges. Okay. Anything else before we move on? All right. A copy. I've written notes all over, but yes, I would be happy to send that to you. Yes. Can I just email that to you? Okay. Thank you, Shan. All right. And next up is John Wells. Thank you so much.
One, two. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to try to be quick and brief because that's what my instructions were. In preparation for Veterans Day, I will be looking for volunteers for a little assistance as we go. Veterans Day is a day to recognize all who have served, all who are currently serving, and all those who have supported those who have served. And I think it's an important day to reflect. And looking at what my, quote, head count is, and I don't know everyone, because unless you tell us, I don't necessarily know that you are a veteran, but roughly 65 of our current residents are veterans of our military services. On the 11th, we will have a little bit of refreshment, a little music. Hopefully, I may have a speaker for a brief commentary. And we will also set up tables for the day of to exhibit any memorabilia involving yours or your families, what's important to you and the family to share with the broader community. It can be anything from a photograph to a particular event, but a time to share. I've got one other event we did last year that we will do again this year. Just this is a really casual, but does anybody here like football? Does anybody like really good football? Football is played by men that are not 350 pounds. The Army-Navy game, because if you're 350 pounds, you don't fit in the tank, and you don't fit in the cockpit of a fighter jet. So Army-Navy game, December 13th, noon, social room right here. And we'll get a little display. We'll have new, which I'm going to get to in a minute. In fact, let me just go right to it. Thanks to an enrichment grant, we have ordered, and I had confirmation this morning, they've been shipped as of today and expect delivery sometime next week. But we have ordered all new flags of our military branches. I substituted the U.S. Public Health Service for the Space Force because I don't think we have any retirees from the Space Force as yet. But we do have a large number of public health service veterans who are residents, and so their flag is as important as the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard. So that will be forthcoming. I think also the flags will be available if someone wishes for a celebration of life or memorial service. For a veteran, we would have the flag available for them. They will be, we've got them set so that they can be stored properly. They will be on a 7-foot pole, which is a little shorter than what we've had, but it also means we aren't banging into light fixtures and other things here within Anderson Hall, because our ceiling's a little lower for that kind of display. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to introduce next our welcoming committee, Margie Cates.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My job, along with Danny Carr's, for the Welcoming Committee is to find mentors for new residents. And as you know, it's a tough transition for a lot of people to move. And so I think this is just a wonderful opportunity for all of us to be a mentor at some point to really help welcome a new resident and make them feel like this is their home. I just brought a few little things to show you. One of the things that we provide is what we call a welcome home quick sheet, and this goes on the door handle of the new apartment that the resident is moving into the night before they move in, along with some information in the back, such as the menu and the alert, and a nice note, welcome note from you as a mentor. We also provide, I guess you could call it training. It doesn't last too long. It's about 20 minutes. But we have directions and ideas for you. And one of the things we have found most helpful is if the mentor can email the people on the floor of the new apartment that the resident is moving into, because, oh, that just works so great. People come out and welcome them, and it just helps with that transition. The other thing that the new residents are getting, and this is from the Resident Council, and it was authored by Sam Sperry and Karen Lane, is this Insider's Guide, as well as an atlas, which is a map of showing where everything is, how to get to things, and so on. So my 1 minute is finished, Ronnie. And I'd like to now turn the mic over to Helen Jones from the Mixer Committee.
Thank you, Margie. Mixers. Mixers are afternoon receptions. They're held about twice a year up in the Sky Lounge and they are purely a social event. They are meant for new residents who've moved in within the last 6 months or so. It gives them an opportunity to see who else has moved in, a chance to make some connections, and a chance to come to a really nice party. Pat Waite and I are the co-chairs of the committee, and we have a great committee. The tasks of the committee are things like working with dining services, it's about decoration, it's tracking the move-ins so we know who to invite, it's the invitations, it's the follow-up, it's the name tags. On the day of the event, it's about greeting the new residents, but more importantly, facilitating introductions. Everyone there arrives, we have a chance just to mingle and to have a drink. Then we sit down and everyone has a chance to introduce themselves, to make some connections. Maybe they went to the same school, maybe they lived in the same neighborhood. It's just a great way for people to begin to make some of those connections. It's just one more way that we can say, welcome to Horizon House. We're glad you're here. We love our new residents. And next up is Sam Sperry.
Thank you. When I moved in and was invited to a mixer, I thought there would be a bar and a bartender, but there is. And you can get any kind of juice drinks mixed for you and all of that, but the hard liquor is not there. Just a quick word. All of you have seen the New Insider's Guide that we did a year and a half ago. And this booklet is the replacement of a 62-page, single-space type, front and back, encyclopedia of everything you did not want to know about Horizon House. And nobody ever read it. And so Karen came up with this idea that we have a fun booklet, kind of on the style of People magazine, which was kind of a model that we used, and we put this together, and it was really a lot of fun to do. We wrote most of the copy and took the pictures, but we did have contributions from other people. Anne Brand wrote a beautiful essay about our community that is at the back of the book. All I want to say is that this has a 3-year shelf life, so if we stick to that, about the middle of 27 would be when we would want to put out a new guide. I think it'll be important to do that because we're going to be in the middle of transition. There will be changes and there will be more to come. So for people moving in, we can tell them about who we are and what we do and our community, but also that new booklet, I think, can have something of a forward look to what life will be like when the building is built and we have new neighbors and comrades. So that's about all I have to say, but if anybody wants to volunteer to think about working on that project, just give me a call. Thank you. And I am to invite Marcia Almquist for a really great project.
Thank you, Sam. I think you have a special interest in my project. Good to see you all, and good to have a chance to talk to you a little bit about the fund drive that you, I think, mostly know about. It was the Employee Gift Fund Drive. It will run from October 1st to November 15th, and as you all know, it is our opportunity to recognize the hard work and the wonderful help that we have from all of our staff here at Horizon House. We have 250 staff members, and they perform a myriad of unbelievable things for us all of the time. way into the night when we are sleeping soundly, and all during the day. So I hope that we really recognize this as a great chance to give them a substantial contribution. Last year, I assisted Sam, and we were lucky and collected more than $500,000. This enabled us to give every employee who is a full-time worker for the entire year a check for $2,600. And then subsequently, you know, they scale them down. It's proportionately, but depending on the number of hours worked. And the smallest check was $260, and that's for someone who has just hired on and has been here a couple of weeks. This year, we have fewer residents and a few more staff. So I'm hoping that that will mean that you will consider being even a little bit more generous than you were last year. The envelopes will go into your boxes. They include a letter from us signed by Ronnie and Barry Eben, who is my assistant this year and who will be running the fund next year. But so it'll have a letter and it'll have an envelope. We would love it if you would think very carefully about what you are able to donate. You know, it doesn't, we appreciate donations of any size. So we would love more than anything to be able to report in January that we had 100% contribution. I think that would be really great. But in the meantime, there are some things to think about. One is please no cash and no credit cards. We need to have a check either from you, personal check, or from your IRA distribution or a special fund. And if you are requesting one of those distributions, it takes a little bit of time. So we ask that you request that sooner rather than later. Though if your check gets here after November 15th and the end of the drive, it is banked and set aside and will be counted next year, distributed next year. So it's not lost, but preferable if it gets here before November 15th. The other thing to remember is that on your check, please write Residence Council EGF, Employee Gift Fund. So I will also want to thank, in advance, acknowledge and thank the committee that is going to be working with me. So Barry Eben, as I mentioned, is the person who is my assistant and will be running the fund next year. But working with him will be Mike Gould, Jack Carr, Madge Hislop, Karen Perret, Nancy Cope, and Deanna Nelson. So these people work, we meet twice a week for about an hour and a half and process all of the checks. And we get generally 20 to 25 checks for each day. So you all have proven to be a very generous and very wonderful group of people that want to thank the staff that makes our life so fabulous. It takes us to give the money, but it takes them. Without them, we wouldn't have a place to live that would be nearly as much fun. So I'm sure that it's a hooray for everybody, for you and for the staff, and that we'll have a very successful drive this year. Thank you. Now I get to call Jennifer Stucker.
Is it a 501c3?
Yes, sorry, I was supposed to say that. Thank you. It is a tax-deductible donation because we are a 501c3. Horizon House is, but the Residence Council is also.
Okay, this is the 4-week August report for the market. Of course, week number 3 was a dud. No elevators meant no customers. But Elizabeth and I had time to accomplish various tasks around the market. Getting the news out to residents that the market was closed was problematic. We apologize to anyone who was inconvenienced by the closure and the difficulty of getting the word out quickly. So for those 3 weeks of August that we had a market, the total deposit was $5,354.73. The RA checks for all of August totaled, and those are the previous employee purchases that get accumulated and get reported in August, for all of August totaled $1,256.46. So Elizabeth and I continue to meet with Brian Holtz about the move and the relocation of the market. He is quite the acrobat, juggling all the various interests and needs of multiple people and committees. During this period of transition and necessary downsizing, it is especially important that donations to the market are in good condition for resale. We do not have the time, resources, or volunteers to fix things. I know it is tempting to share the item that may be a treasure, a family heirloom, a favorite memory. But we ask you to use an objective assessment. Will someone buy this? That's not always obvious, I know that. As usual, it is important to acknowledge the contribution of the volunteers to the market and our need to add to the roster of those willing to play a part in the market activities in the future. The move will likely provide new opportunities for your involvement. Please contact Elizabeth or me to discuss what role you might like to play. Next Monday will be your last chance for early purchases of holiday decorations. We've had those out so that people can prepare in advance, also because we had a huge inventory and we needed to get rid of some. So let's see, after me is coming Karen Smith to talk about money.
Okay, this is working. I think the big thing we're thinking about is our income is down somewhat this year because of fewer residents, and that will continue to be, and we will make a move. We'll have some days when the market's closed, and Horizon House has agreed to help us with our loss of income. This year we adopted a deficit budget, and part of it was because we could only budget for a smaller amount as income. So because of all those reasons, budgeting is really important, and we're starting budgeting a month early than we did last year, because we really want to evaluate our programming. We want to provide you all with wonderful programs, and I sit here and listen to what all these various chairmen do to enhance our life here, and it's wonderful. And so we are trying to do the best we can with the help of Horizon House to provide the programming that makes our place so great. And Sean Creighton has been helping me. She has computer skills that I do not. And so I'm going to let her, we're asking all of you chairmen to prepare your budget for next year. We are wanting all the resource people to be supportive and involved with the chairman. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Shaw.
There has, is this on? You can hear? Okay. I did send out an email with a PDF attached to all of the committee chairs and copied the co-chairs. So some of you may have already seen some of the forms that we have, but I wanted to take a moment to just say what the process is about and help you put it into context. What we're trying to do with the Horizon House and with the Residence Council annual budget is to cover the recurring expenses that cover the core program activities that each committee has, the things that the committee does year after year, basically. We want to reflect the evolving interests that residents have. And so, as you know, if you've been here a while, the committees evolve, they change. Some go away, some come back, some merge, so different things will happen. And so this budgeting process is an opportunity to take a look at that bigger picture of the evolution of interest and where we are. The special outings that have been talked about over and over, and events that may happen to enhance our experience during the construction, those will be covered by a different fund of money. They will not be part of the regular Residence Council annual budget. So if you have ideas for those kinds of activities, that's great. You should send them to Ronnie, but don't include estimates of the cost of those ideas in your committee budget. When the West Tower is occupied, we are no longer going to be getting support from Horizon House to cover lost income from the Monday market, and it will be important that we not let our budget bloat up to the point where we're not able to cover the budget when the West Tower opens. So the form that you've got this year, and I've just extracted pieces of it, it may look a little more complicated, but I tried to provide information that you would find useful. This actually has an incorrect phone number on it for John Longgrass. So look up the phone number in the directory. I tried to do a little trick in my Excel spreadsheet, and it added 1 to the phone number as I went down the list of committees. So, so the numbers aren't quite there. But in any case, what you see is who is your resource person, and their email address is right. Look up their phone number. There's also a description of what your committee does. It's your chance to take a look at that and see whether you think it still covers what you do, and remind yourself there is such a thing as kind of expanding beyond the scope of what you were originally asked to do. You can let us know if you think it still meets your needs. And I'm using the Horizon House Singers as an example, because that's a group that I'm a co-chair of. And yeah, we think that description's fine, so we don't have to do anything. If you think changes are needed, you can suggest them, but they will need to be reviewed and approved by the Residence Council. You can't really change your committee description by yourself. The other information I've provided, which for some of the committees I hope will be useful, what was your initial budget that you requested this year? What did it get revised to? What did you spend as of August the 31st? And then in some simple-minded way, if you just kept spending at that rate through the rest of the year, what would you have spent by the end of the year? Now, when I looked at those numbers for Horizon House, I realized a couple of things. There's a delay in paying what's a big part of our expenses, which is the director's compensation. So actually, what's been spent as of the end of August understates where we're going to be at the end of the year, but it also reminds us that we need to get our expenses in before the end of the year and not be late in having those things paid off. So the next thing that happens, we thought it might be nice to try to remind ourselves of who benefits and what kinds of activities each of the committees do. For some committees, it's very simple. I think if you're the Rummy Cube committee, you play Rummy Cube, and that's probably just one activity. For the Horizon House Singers, we have both rehearsals and performances, and so different people participate, different numbers of people participate in those. So we say how many times we rehearse, about how many people come, and don't know an exact number, but we can put a range. Performances, we, again, can give a range. Just helps us to sort of see where we are in terms of what each committee is doing. And then the real important part of this is the budget. And I think it might be helpful for some committees to think about budgeting by activity. For other committees, maybe not. Maybe there's just, you don't want to divide it that way. You want to put in one set of numbers, that would be fine. But for us, we could say, well, every time the director comes, we have to pay for parking. And so that's 30 times a year times $15, which is what we're estimating the parking reimbursement will be for the rehearsals. And it's only 4 times $15 for the performances. And then when we do performances, sometimes we have to buy props, so that's an expense. But really, most of our expenses are things that I would say are in a general overview category. So that's the notebooks that we buy for people and the director's salary, which I've put up there as X $1,000 rather than declare his actual salary. Then what I can do is add that up, and that becomes my total budget. So that's the kind of thing I'm hoping it will be helpful for you. If you have any questions, your resource person can help you. I'm happy to talk to anybody if you have a question too. Just leave it right now. Their budgets are due no later than October 7th. If you've got it done sooner, turn it in sooner. That's fine. You should return it to Karen Smith, and already has 2, and her cubby number is on that form. And work with your research person. I want to just add, there's a lot of committees that never seem to spend what they ask for. And if you've been budgeting bigger numbers just in case you think of something later, you don't really need to do that. Because first of all, there's a mid-year revision. If you thought of it before then, you could revise the budget then. And second, the Residence Council overall has a rather sizable contingency fund. So if some contingency came up, you would be able to talk with Ronnie about whether that could be covered by the contingency fund. We'd like to get a more accurate budget than we've had in the past. Every year there's a $20,000 underspend at the end of the year. We don't spend all the money, and so we're trying to see if we can make that a little more accurate this year, and thank you for your help with that.
And Bill Jones is next to talk about the Nominations Committee.
Just to repeat from last time we met, I want to commend all of you for the wonderful job you did in coming up with the names of people that you think would make good members of the resident council. Because we not only came up with 5 people for the class of 2026, but we also came up with a list of folks who said they would be available if any of those 5 can't complete their term, sentence. No, term. So that's it. We're excited, and the election will take place at the October meeting of the Residence Council here. So be prepared.
Shan, do you have our minutes?
Yes, I'd like to say just at the outset, if you made a report, I'd be very happy to have a copy of your notes. You can just let me take a photograph of them if they're handwritten, and it makes it easier for me. The minutes of the previous meeting have been distributed to the council members. Are there any corrections at this point? So there being no further corrections, the minutes stand. They'll be posted on HH Connect, and they'll be available in the library in the Residence Council Minute Book.
Thank you. And Carly Swift is out of town, so John Longris is going to let us know what the burning question or questions were this year, this past month.
Ronnie began by saying, I would tell you what the burning question was. And I said to myself, well, I'm really going to tell you what the answer to the burning question is. But I would first have to tell you what the burning question was. And when I looked down, I didn't have it. I had already given it to Shan so she could put it in the minutes. Anyway, so now I fixed it all, and the burning question is, someone wrote in, when I went down to B3 to put some items in the Goodwill bin, I realized that there is no longer a lock between the area which goes directly into the North Tower garage and our B-level spaces. In other words, an unauthorized intruder who comes in that door can go anywhere in our buildings, anywhere in our campus. Since the North Tower garage is not monitored by anyone, that seems to present a security risk. Could you find out why the door is not locked? So Carly went to Brian Holtz and asked him, and he gave a question. And when she gave it to me to read it to you, I didn't fully understand, so I went back to him. So I have a combined answer, the things that she obtained and the things I obtained. He says, we previously had locks on that door, plus other doors off the Terry garage. Those doors are for emergency fire exits and are tied to our fire panel. We would have to upgrade the fire panel to install the same orange key lock system we use in the rest of the campus. Because this wasn't possible, I determined, Brian, rather than retain the old locks and require all residents and all staff vendors to carry the old white Onity cards, in addition to the new orange keys, we would retain the doors unlocked until we could upgrade the panel. In addition, the likelihood of an intruder entering these doors will be lessened once the Terry garage is converted into a valet garage, which will happen later this year. Okay? And now I turn it back to our president. All right.
Thank you, John. Are there any other questions about anything we've covered or not covered? Linda? No. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joan.
The Diversity Awareness Committee is also going to do a veterans observance for our November program. It will be a gentleman who is active in support chapters of the Tuskegee Airmen. So it will, I think, focus on that. But it'll be the Diversity Awareness regular program in November.
Thank you for that update. And John, I hope you two will coordinate a bit. So that'll be exciting to learn more about the Tuskegee Airmen. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
How many residents
I'm sorry. Risa is asking if there will be a diversity program tomorrow.
It has been canceled for tomorrow.
Oh, it has been canceled. So for all of you who noticed on alert that there would be a diversity committee program tomorrow evening, that has been canceled. And is there a question over there?
How many residents live here now?
How many? I do not know the total. How many residents live here right now? You know it, Marcia? 374. And I just got a list of residents who were going to be coming in the next few months, and there were quite a few, half a dozen at least. Any other questions?
Does that 374 number include assisted living, or is that separate?
I think it includes assisted living. Does it, Marcia? Oh, it does not. An additional 75, Marcia says, who are in assisted living.
Sorry. There's 374 in independent living and about 74, 75 in assisted living.
Anything else? Well, I'm going to try something. Elevators. It works. Oh, Shan says elevator number 8. I'll remind. Yes, John.
Well, I want to make sure everyone knows this is not everybody. This morning, I got up at the ungodly hour of 6 o'clock to have an echocardiogram at the, what is it called, the South Lake Union UW clinic. And I got there, but I had been warned before that when I got out of my car, I would find that the elevator is not working because it hasn't worked for 2 months, and they had no idea when it was going to be repaired. And sure enough, when I got out, there was an elevator right in front of me. That one was running fine, but it didn't say, it said for workers. The patient's elevator was down there. We walked down there, and of course it was broken. So we had to walk back to the one that we said we couldn't go on, and we went on it anyway. And then we found we were outside the building, and we had to walk back into the building and go down. Anyway, that was the first part of it. From there, we went to the bank. We went to the WSCU bank that's on where East Lake ends and Fairview begins. And I had to go to the bathroom after what we did. And I went into the bathroom I knew was on the second floor. I pressed the second button, the second floor, and the elevator did not move. And all of a sudden the door opened and a woman came on and she said, "Oh yes, the second floor never works." You either have to walk up or walk down, but you can go up to the third floor. There's a bathroom up there. So I followed her up to the third floor, went there, and then I had to come back down the first. So that's the other stories of what happens in other places that are newer buildings than ours.
I'll remind you, as I often do, that you might consider chatting with a neighbor, particularly somebody that you don't know very well, so we all get better acquainted. And we will have all of these representatives available in the fireside lounge if you have any individual questions that you want to ask them. Thank you for coming. We'll see you next month.